Good morning, boys and girls on the internet. Today is Sunday, April 15th, 2018. And, yep, it's vlog number 104. So, tonight, did a couple of errands, went to go eat, and then I went to go, finally, to see the new Tomb Raider movie. I've been putting it off. I've been kind of wanting to see it since it came out. Because it looked decent to me. From all the trailers, I'm all, hey, look, it looks just like the game. But so I wanted to see it anyways because it looked pretty good. So let's talk about it. Anyways, here's my quick on the road review of Tomb Raider, 2018 version. This one, just like what I was saying, based off the trailers, looked just like the video game. Not the old school video game from like PlayStation 1 days, but the remake, the reboot video game. It came out, in 2015, I think? 2016? I forget when the reboot came out. But it kind of, the movie's been out for weeks, so I'm not going to care about if I say spoilers or not. So, spoiler alert, just in case you really care. So, it does parallel the video game pretty closely. It showcases a young Lara Croft. She's not a Tomb Raider yet. She's very much inexperienced in the realm of tomb raiding. She's kind of like a normal girl. Now, from the game, like in the beginning of the game, you don't really know what her backstory is. Kind of other than that she's a Croft. You kind of assume that she has some ability. She's athletic looking at least. Now, in the movie, however, they open up right away when they first show Laura in a mixed martial art gym, and she's fighting with this another woman. So they again kind of give you right off the bat that she knows what she's doing in a hand-to-hand situation. So that's kind of a good little backstory thing there. Shows that she's very athletic. She also says something about I can remember anything just by looking at it. So they kind of give you the hint that she has a photographic memory, which comes in handy later on in the movie, because she read basically the way the story is. It's just like the video game if you played it, where there's an island off Japan. It's a little tiny island. It's like in the Devil's Triangle or something like that, where a ancient Japanese queen is buried. Apparently, she just queen, causes death around the world. That's why she's buried in this tomb. Laura's father, years ago, went to go find this tomb. And of course, he has all kinds of research notes about it and stuff. Laura finds the notes and kind of follows it because years later, her father never came back from this mission that he went on to find this Japanese queen, Himiko. And it's just that up until that part, it parallels the game pretty much closely. Where it kind of it deviates just a little bit. It's not identical in pacing and it's not identical in scenes. She has to take a boat to go to this island. Of course, it's an island, But in the game, they have a whole team of people on this boat that kind of follow you. That's there to help you out and stuff. But on this in the movie, it's just Laura and the captain of the boat. So it's just Laura and the guy. And of course, the boat doesn't quite make it to the island in one piece. It crashes against some rocks, and they're kind of stuck there. And of course, just like the game, there's a nefarious organization there that throws a wrench in the works. So that's the basic original plot. Of course, a nefarious organization. They want Himiko because they think the thing that they don't really tell you is they don't tell you why they want it. I'm assuming. I mean, they don't even know what the hell it is. They just think that it's just some valuable treasure that whatever company that sent them there wants, and they're just doing what they're told. The leader of the bad guy groups, he kind of just says I have a satellite phone, and I just talk to the person on the other end. That's all my communication now, and they just tell me what to do. They tell me to get this so that my only drive is to get this so they can come and get us off the island. So you don't know if this whatever they're looking for, Himiko's body or tomb or something's in it has either some kind of weapon or some kind of mystical ability or something. They don't know. They don't really care. They just want to get it. In my mind, I was drawing parallels to the game, of course. It's hard not to do when the movie's actually pretty much mirroring the game for a lot of it. Of course, unlike the game, you're not going to get these long, drawn out moments where it looks like days are going by, and you don't have to worry about Laura having to do survival whatever else, or gathering weapons and upgrading your weapons. It's just pretty much a straightforward movie. It's a not even 2 hour long movie, so you can't really waste that much time like you can in the game. So that's kind of a given. Now, one thing that kind of surprised me about this movie is that it surprisingly has kind of a pretty deep connection of feelings and stuff. They keep giving little montages or little flashbacks to when Laura was younger, her talking to her father, because her father is constantly on the go, but of course the last one he went on years ago was the one to find Himiko, this Japanese queen, and he never came back from it. So you got all these a couple of montages. There's 3 good montages, or flashbacks, just to say. So they give you a good connection. She's connected to her father, but yet when she grows up, she's kind of not. Because they want when she is grown up, there's a part in there where I guess a woman from the Croft company is trying to get her to sign some papers to kind of inherit the Croft fortune, and you can tell she doesn't want to do it because as soon as she does it, that basically means her father is indeed dead and gone, and so she doesn't do it. She's hesitant doing it, but she's about to do it, and then she finds something that kind of leads her to go on a quest to find her dad herself. She might be mad at her dad for leaving her alone all the time. Spoiler alert: she finds her dad. When she first gets to the island, and the evil corporation guys, they kind of capture her. The main dude tells her, so oh yeah. Oh, your father? Yeah, I knew him. I killed him. And you find out that no, he didn't. Later on, she runs into him. And it was a pretty. It has some touching moments. You could tell but the girl who plays Lara Croft, Alicia Vikander is her name, I think. She's pretty cute and hot, so that's always a good bonus. Good body. She's a pretty good actress. I haven't seen her in anything else, but in some emotional parts in this movie, she nails it pretty well. So that's what I kind of liked about this movie, and it was unexpected. I wasn't expecting to see like emotional moments like this. There was a couple of them in this movie. When she first meets her dad again, it was pretty emotional. And just like the video game, the movie like doesn't shy away from putting Laura through all kinds of like bumps and scrapes and falls, and she gets hurt a lot. Now, there are some parts in this movie where it's like, wow, that will break like a ton of bones in your body if this happened to you. Of course, it's a movie, so it doesn't. But she does get scraped and banged up a lot, and they probably could have banged her up a little bit more if you ask me. Like, by the end of the movie, she has like a couple of scratches and she's dirty, of course. But like her one major wound was like she had like a stick like stuck into her side, which that is a callback to the game, because that's kind of happens to her in the game. She falls on a big pile of like sticks or something, goes right through her side. Like her dad like kind of patches her up, and it's a pretty emotional type of moment. Now there wasn't another scene where like after the first time she escapes the bad guys and like runs away right before she meets her father, she's kind of like on her escape, that's where she does like most of her like falling and getting bumped and stuff. She falls down this river, and there's the iconic old plane that's on this waterfall that she has to kind of climb onto and to try to get out of this waterfall. And I just looked at that plane. I was like, wow, just looking at that plane, I need a tetanus shot. It's all rusty. There's a whole moment in the plane where she has to like put on like she finds a parachute because she's obviously gonna fall, and there's nothing underneath her. So she puts on a parachute. As she's parachuting down, she hits a bunch of trees and she gets banged up. But anyways, after she's kind of like, she got away, but there's like a tracker guy that the bad guy sent to go find her. And at night, he finds her, and gotta admit, this fight is pretty brutal. Like, it's very hand to hand, and it's kind of realistic in a sense, because it looks like both are fighting for their lives. So I appreciate things like that. It wasn't like fantastical where like she was like boxing toe to toe with him. She was doing whatever that she can to survive. Hits him in the head with a rock. And there's like a little river that she managed to get on his back and like put him in a choke and like kind of push his head down into the water, and you could tell it was very, very struggling. And like the one thing I'll give this moment is that it's obviously the first person she's ever killed in her life, and that's pretty hard for a person to take another human's life with your bare hands. And you could tell she was kind of affected by it for a few seconds. I was kind of almost expecting a little bit more. I mean, what they gave, was more than what most movies do, so I'll give it that. But because right after that scene is when like she sees like a guy like in the distance, like through the trees, and she doesn't know who it is, but you kind of expect who it is. She runs after him, follows him up this like cliff, and it's her dad. So whatever like emotion she probably went through just by killing someone, it's gone now, but now replaced by the emotion of seeing her dad. After that, however, like she kind of gets the resolve to like, hey, I struggled to find you on this island. I found you finally. We need to get the hell out of here. And her dad's like, no, there's no way out off this island. And she's like, the dude's got a satellite phone. We should go get it and get the hell off this island. And he's like, no, he's got an army. There's no way, no. Just hide here or whatever. And so she gets like a resolve to like, nope, I'm gonna freaking get that thing. We're gonna get off this island. I didn't come here to die. So he just happens to have a bow and arrow, a bow and a quiver of arrows. So she does her whole iconic, Laura Croft with the bow type of thing. And she looks like a pretty bad, like the actress that plays her. She looks like a badass with her bow and arrow. So, which I'm not surprised, but she's pretty good with a bow. One of the earlier flashbacks showed her, using a bow and arrow, and she was pretty good with it. But anyways, she goes and to the camp where they're like trying to find the tomb, takes out some guys, and she like frees like they have a bunch of like people they're kind of using as slaves to try to find the tomb. So she frees them all, takes out a bunch of guys, but as they're doing that, like I guess her dad like followed her to the camp, and went over because they found where the tomb, the door of the tomb is, but they can't open it. And like her dad's like staring at the door, and of course the big bad guy comes up to him and is like, "Open the damn door," and puts a gun to his head. And he's like, "Oh, I won't do it." Laura Croft goes up to him, comes up with the arrow, shoots one of the guys, the bad guys. Doesn't shoot. They never shoot the main bad guy. They always shoot the henchmen. I never get that. They have a standoff back and forth. And eventually she just kind of agreed, like, okay, fine. I'll put the bow down. I'll open the door. Just don't shoot my dad. And dad, her dad's always like, no, don't do it. It might be the end of the world. So eventually, she agrees to open the door. Because of course she has the knowledge to be able to open the doors because she read her dad's notes. She's able to unlock there's all kinds of like turning knobs and dials on the door to unlock it. Now this is like the only like tomb in the whole movie. It's called Tomb Raider. There's like one tomb. So I do like the way they kind of set it up in this tomb where it wasn't too like extravagant. It wasn't too like outlandish of it was pretty realistic of what you would expect in an ancient tomb. Like I remember in the game, you're playing the game, you're in this tomb, and they always put hidden objects in the game, in the tombs, where it's like, oh, you find this item and it upgrades your submachine gun. What? you're raiding a tomb that no one's been in for hundreds of years, and you find something that is able to upgrade a modern gun. Doesn't make any goddamn sense. But anyways, they go through this whole tomb sequence, and of course, like, there's traps, and a couple of the henchmen get killed by the traps. So you can see that some of the traps that you have to kind of like use your brain to figure out. Typical like Tomb Raider, Indiana Jones style. So eventually they find this Queen Himiko, her tomb, and again, spoiler alert. They find out after they open it up, like her face kind of decomposes, like right then and there, as exposed to oxygen. And she's like looking at it, and she's like, "Wait a minute, there's something off about this. It's not like that she, brought death. Is that she has some kind of like disease in her that causes death. So that's why they brought it to this island to be buried, So that was the whole thing, and they're like, well, the main bad guy's like, oh, I gotta take at least a piece of her, because like one guy like touches the queen's dead body, and like it affects his hand, and he starts like decomposing right then and there, like it starts like infecting him, and his arm gets all black and nasty. And so he's like, the bad guy's like, I just need to take a piece, takes off like a finger and puts in a little plastic baggie. Lucky he had a Ziploc. And so they had to kind of escape the area. Unfortunately, like her dad gets infected. Like one of the bad guys, hey, he has an infection, but he's like trying to fight with them because like Laura, she tries to run away, but the bad guy's like, "Oh, go after her. I'm gonna just get," they try to like escape. But one of the bad guys, like, he's infected, but yeah, he touches Laura's dad, so he gets infected. After Laura like beats the one guy that was chasing her, she comes back to the tomb area, and her dad's like, well, "I'm done for. Just leave me here. I'm going to blow up this tomb." Like, he guess one of the bad guys has some explosives on him, so like, I'm gonna blow it up so no one gets at it. You go after the bad guy. You stop him. Make sure that shit doesn't get out. So after a little, there's another emotional scene, of course. She leaves him. He blows up the place. She finds the big bad, the main bad guy, and they have a pretty good fight, a little hand-to-hand fight. There's one thing, like, there's like a little chasm that earlier they like came across, where they put like this ladder across, so they can at least walk across it. The main bad guy's like in the middle of walking across it, but when Laura like runs up behind him, she runs up behind him and she has a pickaxe, and she throws the pickaxe down and jumps at the ladder. Like, why would you do that? Why don't you just, like, the dude wasn't that far away from the edge, where the ladder started. Why don't you just run up behind him and stab him in the back with a freaking pickaxe? It's a movie, so what do you expect? But they have a good fight, back and forth, and then eventually, it looks like she's gonna lose, just like a typical movie. And she finally beats the guy. She gets the upper hand after like everything starts crumbling. He gets kind of like distracted, and she knocks him aside. Gets a little like the finger in the baggie that he had out of his pocket, stuffs it in his mouth, and he's all like, "Ah," and like she pushes him over the ledge to the chasm. And she runs away and escapes, and blah blah blah. So anyways, happy story. She escapes, and they do kind of lead into, they leave it open for a sequel, obviously. So I don't know if they're ever gonna make a sequel to this, but I kind of enjoyed this movie. I thought they did a really good job on it. The special effects were good. Acting was good. Storyline, pretty much cliche, but it's kind of what you expected. It followed the game, so it wasn't really anything too surprising. But it was pretty good, and I wouldn't mind a sequel to this. I would go see it again. I'd go see a sequel, I should say. If you played the game, if you played the reboot from a few years ago, it parallels the story of that pretty well. And so they do a pretty good job with, the scenes are pretty good, like the scenery, it looks like they're on a, old island that no one's been on for a long ass time. There's only one real tomb, but they did, the setting on it is pretty nice. Overall they did a pretty good job in terms of the scenery. The special effects are really nice. It seems to be there's a lot of practical effects, and parts where that they had to do it like on green screen or using stunt people. It doesn't really. You kind of can assume that's what they did, but you don't notice it. They did a good job with hiding that. So parts where like there might have been a green screen, you don't see. It's not like super obvious. So they did a pretty good job with that. Lara Croft, of course, gets banged up throughout this course of this movie, and just like the game, she looks all beat up by the end. But overall, just as a quick summary review, I like the casting in this movie. Laura's father is played by, don't remember his name. He does a pretty good job as her father. Some tender moments that he shared with Laura. You could tell that they have love for each other, and you kind of see that theme throughout the movie. That she's kind of wanting to find her father out of love. But of course, it leads into this island adventure. The action is pretty good when she finally picks up her bow and arrow, and goes to fight the bad guys with it. The main bad guy, you could tell almost right away that he's the main bad guy, because he's kind of cold and pretty ruthless. So he got that going for him. So overall, I'll give this movie a very positive review. I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. There's a couple things I didn't expect. I didn't expect this movie to be as good as it was. I kind of just went there to thinking that it might be a mindless action movie that just parallels the game. But it has good tender moments, good action moments, good effects that are not out of reality. It's not too fantastical of effects or something. You don't have stuff that is too unbelievable. There's a couple parts where it's okay, well, she fell down this thing and she would have broken arms and whatever, but she didn't. Overall, I give this movie a very positive rating. If you haven't seen it yet, what are you waiting for? Go see it. Especially if you're a fan of Tomb Raider or a fan of action movies. And they leave this movie open at the end for a sequel. So hopefully they will make a sequel to it. So I do look forward to it. Was it compared to the Angelina Jolie movies? Those movies are pretty campy because it was based off more of a campier versions of the game back in the 90s for PlayStation. So you can't really compare them. It's like trying to compare the reboot game to the original 90s games. They're totally different. They harken back to each other, but you can't really put them in the same category. One's definitely very modern, one's very old and campy. That's all I can say. So, again, like I said, I enjoyed it very much. I'll probably be buying this on Blu-ray when it comes out because I do like it. So, and you'll like it too. So, that was my spoiler-full review of Tomb Raider. Hope you all enjoyed it. I don't know how long this video is going to be because I need to edit out a bunch of stuff out of it. And anyways, I need to go shopping right now. So, I had a pretty good time at the movies. Hope you enjoyed this review. And that's about it for today's vlog. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to y'all later. Have a good day. And I love you.